Well, Putin's policy in Iran was unambiguous. He wants a stable, long-term relationship. But with Europe, it's the very opposite. Vladimir Putin wants to keep his Western neighbors guessing. How? By leveraging Russian energy. His comments in Tehran have triggered speculation. Putin did not threaten a complete shutdown, but he hinted at a reduction in supply. Listen to this.
Now 2 turbines are working, pumping 60 million cubic meters of gas a day. If one turbine comes, very well. There will be 2 turbines working. If it doesn't come, only one will be working. There will be only 30 million cubic meters a day. One should count how much can be pumped during the remaining half a year.
Now that sounds very technical. 1 turbine, 2 turbines, a lot of numbers. But beneath all of this is a threat. A subtle warning from the Russian president. He is talking about the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. It is the biggest subsea pipeline in the world. Its total capacity is almost 55 billion cubic meters per year. Now, last week, Nord Stream was closed for repair works. Russia said it will be reopened on Thursday. Europe fears that Russia is bluffing, that the pipeline will not be reopened. So what does Putin do? He adds fuel to the fire. On the one hand, Putin is threatening a supply cut. At the same time, his officials say something very different. Take a look at this report. It says Gazprom will resume pumping gas on Thursday. The company has not said so publicly, but their officials have confirmed it off the record. Now, here's the question. Can Europe rely on these unconfirmed reports? We are talking about gas supplies for millions of Europeans. Their food, their fuel, all of it depends on the Nord Stream pipeline. So Europe cannot take a chance here. They must prepare irrespective of what Russia does. Earlier today, the European Commission unveiled a plan. It's called Save Gas for a Safe Winter. Full marks for the name. Pretty much explains itself. Save gas for a safe winter. Europe's plan is to build up gas reserves before winter comes, to create a buffer stock. And how will they do that? By reducing gas usage.
Russia is blackmailing us. Russia is using energy as a weapon. And therefore, in any event, whether it's a partial, major cutoff of Russian gas or a total cutoff of Russian gas, Europe needs to be ready.
The Commission's proposal has 2 parts. One is a voluntary cut. European countries must reduce gas usage by 15%. This will in fact not be legally enforced. It depends on what the member states decide. Part 2 is a mandatory cut, and this would apply only if there is a gas emergency. For example, if the Nord Stream does not reopen, or if the energy stocks fall to dangerous levels. In that case, Brussels will get extra powers. It can legally enforce the gas cuts. That is the EU's plan. How long would this rationing last? From August 2022 to March 2023, which means throughout the winter. It's a desperate intervention by the European Commission. But right now, it's just a proposal. On the 26th of July, Europe's energy ministers will be holding an emergency meeting. If they approve this proposal, the gas cuts will go ahead. If not, Europe will remain at Russia's mercy. Which brings us to their permanent problem. Will the member states agree to these cuts? Some of them will. For example, Hungary's gas storage is only 47% full, so they need to conserve gas. But Poland's storage is 98% full. So why would Poland implement gas cuts when they have enough gas? Why would their citizens agree to rationing? And this will be a big problem for Europe. To survive the winter, they need to act in solidarity. They need to share the burden. Else, they must get off the high horse, tweak their sanctions to keep using Russian energy. And that's nothing new for the West. They have consistently undermined their own sanctions as and when it suits them. I'll give you 2 examples. You just heard Putin talking about 2 turbines of the Nord Stream pipeline. He said one of them may not come. Why is that? Because that turbine was in Canada. It was being repaired in a Canadian factory. Now, technically, Russia should not get this turbine back because turbines are part of Western sanctions. And going by those sanctions, Canada cannot return the turbine to Russia. But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada is doing it anyway. This Sunday, he sent the turbine back to Russia. It's on its way. And it's a clear violation of Canada's own sanctions. But you see, nobody is lecturing Canada for violating the sanctions. Now, the second example, The European Union is unfreezing the assets of top Russian banks, not the whole thing, but certain parts of their assets. And what is their justification? Europe says this move could ease the food and fertilizer bottlenecks, basically boost the supply chains. So yet again, sanctions are being diluted because Europe wants it, because Europe is feeling the pinch. Just think about it. Look at the contrast. African nations raised the alarm back in the month of May. They complained against the rising food and fuel prices. They had no luck. Last month in June, they asked Europe to reconsider the sanctions to make food payments to Russia easier. Again, no luck. But now Brussels has finally woken up. Why do you think that is? Because their own food and fuel prices are out of control now. Inflation has topped 8.6% in the bloc. So what does Europe do? They dilute their own sanctions. Same with the United States. In April this year, the G20 finance ministers held a meeting in Washington, D.C. The U.S. was represented by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She led a Western boycott of Russia. She walked out when the Russian officials started speaking. Cut to July. Things have changed. G20 finance minister met again in Bali. This time, Yellen did not walk out. Neither did any of the European finance ministers. What does all of this tell you? The West was fine with sanctions as long as they were insulated, as long as their economies were not being punished. But once the crisis hit home, their attitude changed. Putin was counting on this when he invaded Ukraine, and from the looks of it, he was right. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.